Okay, in the last video we did the updates. In this video I want to show you how to do a couple other things that I don't know why I closed the terminal. We need the terminal, so open it up again and let's type sudo yum install epel-release, and it should ask us for our password. I think this one is also gonna, we may get prompted for like a signature or something. So let's say yes. Oh, okay, that was easy. And then let's continue sudo yum install dkms. So by the way, EPEL release, EPEL, that's just a whole list of different packages that we could install. And so when I said DKMS, it sort of looked at it and then looked at all the things connected to DKMS and said, well, then I also need these other things. In Linux speak, those are called dependencies. Like, I don't have that installed already, and I don't have that installed already, and maybe I don't need it. But if I need that, that requires these other things. So it just looks at them all as sort of the thing I want plus its dependencies, and this is just normal Linux behavior. It's actually really, really handy because you don't have to keep track of that stuff. So let's just say yes, and we'll install that. Okay, I knew somewhere in here we were going to get asked one more time. Let's say yes to that, the EPEL. And looking at, I linked to this page on our website. I'm just making sure that I'm not skipping something. We want development tools and kernel devel to come next here. Okay. What did I just say? Okay, so let's type this one. Remember, sudo yum group install development, and then, yeah, space tools. That's why we needed the dashes there. So sudo yum group install development tools. And again, we're asking for kind of one thing, but it's giving us everything else that we need to do the development tools. So let's say yes to that. Okay, one more. Sudo yum install kernel devel for development. And once again, its dependencies. Let's just say yes. And you know, this will be done in a minute. When I read the instructions that I think this is provided by CentOS, they don't talk about restarting, so I have hesitation. If you just follow the directions after this is successful, they suggest you just go right in and mount the guest editions disk image and install it. So this might just be something from old versions. I'm not going to do that. Once this finishes, I'm going to restart it, and after it restarts, then I'm going to add the guest editions. I've never had a problem doing it that way. At least in the past, I had problems with trying to do them right now. So I'm going to shut this down and restart it. Okay, so let me show you two ways. Here's the old school way, right? You go up and click on like power, and then I could log out, I think, from here. Or if I click here, I'll be given the option of restarting. But let's use the terminal. The Linux terminal is really cool. So let's type sudo shut down. And if I did shut down now, it would just turn it off. But I want to restart it. So shut down -R. That's sort of like a little switch that says, well, yeah, shut it down, but restart it. And when do I want to do that? I want to do it now. So, and that's just as good as going up and clicking and selecting shutdown and all that. But if you're in the terminal, it's faster. And I hope, okay, this is really nerdy, but I hope it's kind of thrilling because the terminal is super powerful. Let's just go ahead and start that. So while we're waiting, a little bit of trivia there. You might have noticed now there were, in that list when I hit enter, there were now 3 entries. Before that there were 2, before that there were 1. Every time we update something called the kernel, you have an additional one in there, and the one at the top is the most current. So that would, choosing a different kernel would kind of let you like roll back. You're almost never going to need to do that, and in fact, I want to go out on a limb and say you're never going to need to do that. I just want you to know what that is and why it looks that way. So it looks like it's 11 o'clock and the bell's going to ring in 9 minutes and 30 seconds. I think we have just enough time to get this going. I think. And I think this is about the last time we're going to see those little pop-ups. At least that's our goal here, if everything works out as expected. Okay, so up in this top menu, at the top of the window, I think it's devices, and we want to insert guest add-on CD image. And that's going to mount it, usually right there. Okay, and then this is sort of like auto run on Windows. Let's click run. It should open up a terminal window, and it's going to ask us for our password. This is the graphic version of sudo. We're just entering our password like into sudo, and then in this little terminal it's running as sudo. This will take a few minutes, but it's installing some software and drivers so that VirtualBox and CentOS can play together really nicely. It's going to let us do things like copy and paste. So I could copy something from Windows, paste it into here, vice versa. I could share folders, like this folder is on the desktop in Windows. I could share it so that it's in the Linux server or something like that. The main thing, I mean, those are kind of handy, but the main thing I think you're going to like is the ability to resize the screen, and that's really cool. It just becomes so much smoother than you have experienced it so far. So far, I think it's cool but clunky, um, and hopefully we're going to get to awesome here in a couple of minutes. Okay, press return to close this window, which is also known as enter. Okay, that should have worked. I'm just right clicked on that, we can eject that. Now, we might need to restart, but theoretically I can drag that window and see how it resizes to fit the whole thing. Yeah, cool. And now I can go full screen that way and see how, again, it just resizes and fits everything. That's a good indication that the guest editions have worked, and it's now working the way we want it to work. So let's see with, sorry, where are we at here? Okay, shared folders you can set up from here, and drag and drop right now is disabled. I'm going to put bidirectional. You don't have to. I'm more like trying to give you a tour. Sharing the clipboard, definitely. I want to, if I was looking at something like maybe on my Windows desktop, I have a browser with DD Sites open, and I want this over here. I want to be able to, you know, copy this URL and for no good reason, I'm only demonstrating, right? Paste it into Firefox on the server. And well, I guess we're waiting for that, and I got 2 minutes here. Let me just say, I guess, a couple of things. The server environment is interesting and it's nice. Linux is really cool. You should consider it, as you get used to this, you should consider it as a replacement to Windows altogether. Let's just see if I can paste over here now. Doesn't look like it. I may need to restart or something. So there's my Control C, and there's my Control V. Yeah, that's not working. I'm not quite sure what's up with that. We probably need to restart or something. But at any rate, I don't think this browser, I'm showing you that it's there, but you really, the server is sort of the server. It's there to serve web files and things. You can explore with it a little bit, but generally just use it for what we're using it for. And then hopefully this has also got you thinking there are other Linux distributions that you could use, like Linux Mint, including at the Glock. Like, this is a great one, and in the same way that we downloaded, right, and installed CentOS, you could totally, you know, you got to download this. Don't get me wrong, right? Okay. In a similar way, you'll be downloading it, but you could just make a new one by typing Linux Mint and go through there, and then you would have Linux Mint on there, and you could fire that up and use it anytime you were interested in checking that out, and on and on and on, really. Okay. So I'm going to shut this one down for now. At this point, we have successfully installed the guest editions, and you know what I think I'll do. Whoops, that ain't the way to do it. sorry. I'm going to make a new backup, right? Because I went through some steps. I don't want to go back through those steps again. So I'm going to take kind of a snapshot, and that's just a good practice. I only need really one backup at a time. Oh, there's the bell. I'll shut her down, but that's what I'll have done by the time we start the next video.